When it comes to libertarians and their conceptions of rights, I've never really understood why it is that they have these particular views. The idea, of course, of a right, to them anyways, is something that is required without labor. In other words, a right exists without the ability of labor being produced to allow you to have it. Um, they cite examples such as free speech, freedom of religion, that kind of stuff. But the fact of the matter is that this particular notion is laughable. In order for a right to actually exist, you have to have some form of conception of a right first. And then you have to put in the intellectual labor in order to be able to defend a right. That's how rights are conceived of and how they come into existence in the first place. They don't exist as a platonic idea separate from humans that would exist with or without humans in a mathematical sense, like physics does. Rights will literally only be conceived of by intellectual sentient beings who argue for them, rhetorically speaking, to convince enough people in society that they should be respected. That's the first and second step of how rights come into being. How exactly that is supposed to be, not the case, I don't really know. I mean, take for example free speech. Free speech before the Age of Enlightenment was not a thing. It didn't exist. People had to conceive of freedom of speech. They had to give it a name. They had to give a rhetoric. They had to philosophically argue for it in front of people and to convince enough people that it is a principle that we should uphold. Those were the first and second steps for freedom of speech to even exist in the first place. And then, of course, you have the simple fact that the concept would apply to the press, the news, people publishing material and whatnot, people being able to actually engage in the distribution of said material. This is actually requires a lot of labor to be able to do. It requires a lot of infrastructure, requires a lot of time, a lot of money. But according to libertarians, free speech isn't a right because of this. Even though, quite literally, that is how that works. Because you have to intellectually conceive of something in order for it to exist, and you have to actually put in the labor, the rhetorical labor, to convince people that it should be respected. Why is this hard to understand? I have no idea.